In every major American city, you'll find foreign-owned stores in black neighborhoods, from takeout spots to liquor stores, beauty supplies, and even convenience shops. But how do they dominate these businesses? How do they keep costs low while making huge profits? And most importantly, how does this create generational wealth for their families? On average, a single Chinese takeout spot in a high-traffic urban area can pull in $300,000 to $600,000 per year in revenue. A liquor store or beauty supply shop can generate over $500,000 to $1 million annually, depending on location and demand. Low expenses and high volume equals profit margins of 20 to 50%, far better than most small businesses. With direct supply chains back to their countries of origin, owners can buy inventory straight from manufacturers at a fraction of US prices. Many stores operate in networks, buying in bulk together to lower costs. They also utilize family labor, lower payroll costs. Relatives work shifts to avoid hiring outside employees. Many store owners live modestly but invest heavily in their children's education. Profits from these stores fund private schools, SAT prep, and elite college admissions. Second-generation children often become doctors, lawyers, or tech professionals, breaking into high-income careers. Many store owners use their profits to buy real estate, renting to other businesses or tenants. They reinvest earnings into more stores, shopping centers, or even entire strip malls. Some even return to their country of origin to open businesses there, multiplying their wealth across two countries.
Damn, and all that's just money escaping our communities, just pouring out of our communities.
The Crown of England owns the beaches in Jamaica. So
all of Jamaica.
All of Jamaica.
So we don't have a public beach.
We don't have a beach. You are granted permission through the Prime Minister's office. So you have the permission to use it, and that permission can be revoked. As the situation is evolving in Flankers Providence Beach at this time, where they just choose a developer and dispossess the person.
So all these popular public beaches like Hellshire is not owned by anybody?
No Jamaican or the government owns that particular. It's invested in the Crown.
It is owned by England?
Yes.
And that is applicable as well to persons who own properties, beachfront properties.
That is also correct.
Titles and say, boy, I own this space right here. It's just the land that they own.
Yes, you own the land.
Where you find that money? Because the first I hear anything.
That's the 1956 Beach Control Act. That is currently still the law on the books right now, as it pertains to engaging the beach.
And that book has roots. That book is still that's a book from the UK, from England, right?
You're asking about the law?
Yeah. Yes, that's rooted in the laws in England.
Yo, man, to my former athletes, can we talk about how it feels transitioning from being that top athlete to having to step into the real world and get a job and shit? Bro, it feel like just yesterday I was dunking on motherfuckers. I'm hitting threes. Hey, anyway, I'm doing all that now. No, I'm stressing. I'm stressing about how I'm gonna move these pallets. We ain't gonna talk about how your friends and your family treat you too. Like, they looked at you as the meal ticket, and now they treat you like a bad bitch that fell off.
I don't know if he's laughing or crying. I think he's actually doing both. But I said this again. I said it before. I say it again. The problem, or one of the main problems with us in sports, is that it's not that we go into sports so heavily. It's that we only look at sports. And I'm just talking about even within sports. We only look at ourselves as the athletes. Like, sports is a whole ecosystem. You got coaches, you got trainers, you got merchandising, you got venues, you got agents, you got legal, you got all of these jobs that are created by that one athlete on the court. And we only position ourselves to be that person on the court. So when something fails with that, then it's a wrap. And we don't get any of that other income. So I think, of course, diversifying and moving to other fields, but even within sports, need to focus on beyond just the ball.
Yo, bro, the transition from being an athlete, bro, and into regular world, bro, it's crazy, bro. It's literally crazy.
Did you know that there's an Israeli community that lives in South Africa? In fact, it's one of the biggest Israeli communities in the world. Now, this is not an issue, but now people are starting to get worried because they're seeing flights full of Israelis traveling to South Africa. They are moving to South Africa. People are starting to wonder, is South Africa their new promised land? They are now starting to buy land, and not just any land in strategic parts of the country. So people are wondering, what is going on? Should we be worried about this? The South Africans, they started to ask questions when they noticed that the Israelis, they're starting to buy a lot of land in the country. They are wondering, what is all this land for? And
they're buying land there. I think they're buying land in Argentina. Of course, you know, the Middle East. Boy, they're just all over.
they started to notice a lot of Israelis, a lot of Israel's flags, they're everywhere in South Africa. In fact, this picture right here, it was taken in South Africa. Can you believe this? Now, I'm not saying that the people of Israel should not travel to South Africa or any other South African country. I'm just wondering, why South Africa? Because we know South Africa is very outspoken against Israel. In fact, South Africa filed a lawsuit in the International Court of Justice against Israel over the things they were doing to the Palestinians. Now I'm wondering, why are the Israelis choosing South Africa of all countries?
This is anti-African propaganda, and this is what the West wants you to think about the continent. But here's the real Africa. Safe cities, gorgeous homes, rapidly growing income, and food that is actually healthy to eat. And the question is, why does the West engage in this anti-African propaganda? And that's what I want to talk about. The first reason is money laundering. Most of the charity the West gives to Africa is routed to some not very good people, and they want you guys to keep giving. And I'm sure some good work has been done by these charities, but I've never met an African who received the Save the Children money. And second is the West wants to exploit the continent for its resources. But to do that, politicians need the Western voters to turn a blind eye. And if the voters think of Africans as a group of people living in trees and mud huts, they won't feel as bad. But lastly, and this is my own personal opinion, I believe the West exploits their own people. Families in the West struggle to make ends meet. Most can't afford to buy houses or have children. But if people in the Western world discovered that a lot of Africans are living better lives than they are, it might not be so good for the people in power. You know what happens to every Westerner who comes to the continent for the first time? It's like they have the same cognitive dissonance, because what they see on the ground in Africa is so different from the image the West put in their head. But I want to know what you guys think. Am I right to think that the West pushes anti-African propaganda for nefarious purposes? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if this video brought value to you, give me a like and a follow. That really helps out my channel. And I'll see you guys on the next video, or hopefully I'll see you in Ghana. Take care.
The Goombas got gentrified, cuz. The Goombas got gentrified out of the Mushroom Kingdom, bro. First of all, just look at this nigga. Look at this nigga. That is a mushroom. You see that? His body is a stem. His head is a cap. Goombas are mushrooms, just like toads are. The only difference is one is brown and one is motherfucking white. So what the fuck happened? When Princess Peach came into power, she decided to expand the Mushroom Kingdom, and millions of fucking Goombas got displaced and exiled out of their homes. Literally made these niggas homeless just so they could build Mario Kart tracks and a bunch of resorts and shit. Princess Peach is a
That sounds familiar though.
racist bitch. Who in that castle is brown? Who? Nigga, nobody. And she got slaves. Is that a noose, nigga? And the only person the Goombas could turn to is Bowser. Not out of evil maliciousness, but because he the only real nigga that'll give them a voice. Now when you see Goombas, what are they doing? Walking around mad as fuck, forehead balled up, in a barren wasteland with no home. And Mario, man, that nigga's a munch. He came to the Mushroom Kingdom, he don't know niggas from a can of paint. He just wants some ass. And Princess Peach is like, yo, you see those browns over there? Those motherfuckers living in poverty? That's the rebellion. They trying to take our home. Little does he know, she took their home on some Israel-Palestine shit. Nigga, I'm brown and mad too. I might be a motherfucking Goomba.
Good analogy.
Can you break down the biggest brainwashing they did to us?
Greatest, Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the greatest brainwashing was to turn us away from the land. Because when we turn away from the land, we're turning away from our ability to be independent and to be free. So when I read that he said that, I was like, man, there's a lot of brainwashing that happened with us as a people when we and going through, you know, the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. But the greatest brainwashing was to turn us away from the land. And when you get into this land and you get into growing and you get into being productive, you begin to really see like what exactly that we were turned away from, you know. But just as the way we were turned away from it, we could turn back to it and pick up these skills again and get back into the soil and reconnect so that we can start growing for ourselves and being productive on the land.
Absolutely. So let's get into it. And how lucrative can this industry get, brother?
Well, we could study America. They took cotton and made billions and trillions of dollars. To your point, cotton was first for them, but that wasn't the end. In the South, they was growing cotton. In the North, they had the Industrial Revolution, where they was converting cotton into products that they were selling all over the world to help them become a rich country.
So that's group economics again, isn't it?
100% group economics, you know, because if I grow the cotton and my brother, you know, manufactures the clothes, we have now an economic system that somebody can't cut off, you know.
Vertical integration. So that's something that we need to be more aware of. We tend to be horizontally integrated. So a good example of horizontal integration is something like Coca-Cola. Like Coca-Cola is a company that's horizontally integrated. So they make all the beverages, all kinds of beverages, sodas, waters, sports drinks, energy drinks, but they don't really have any stores, and they don't really have deal with a lot of the manufacturing. So they don't have like the whole chain. They're like at the beverage level, offering the beverage level, but they have it across the board. A good way to look at vertical integration is like Mac. They deal with a lot of the manufacturing, they deal with the advertising, they deal with the hardware, they deal with the software, and they have their own stores. So from the chip all the way down to the customer, Apple pretty much controls everything. And for Black people, we are horizontally integrated. So like, for example, we'll have restaurants or we're in sports, but at that level, you know, we dominate, but we don't control the whole supply chain. So like we had restaurants where we were creating a product, distributing the goods, owning the restaurants, and you know, distributing to customers. Then that's what we'll call vertical integration. I think that's something that Black people need to definitely take control of.
A competition can't come to you and go to your supplier and say, no, don't sell them these clothing items anymore, which is something that we struggle with as a people.
You ever watch a movie and think, dang, that felt a little too patriotic? Like, why does every spy flick end with the CIA saving the day and America walking off into the sunset like it didn't destabilize half the globe? Yeah, that's not an accident. That's the CIA in the writing room, like, literally.
That's why I always get confused when people say, oh, the next James Bond should be Black. We need a Black James Bond. Like, you know, in real life, he would be the bad guy for Black people. Like, real talk. If there was a real life James Bond, the first mission he would be on right now is probably go take out Ibrahim Traore.
So here's what's real. Since the Cold War, the CIA has had a formal setup with Hollywood. They've got a whole division called the Office of Public Affairs that works directly with studios. And their job? Control the narrative. If a film wants access to planes, tanks, locations, intelligence consultants, whatever they may need, the government is going to review their script first. And if they don't like what they see, cut it, change it, rewrite it. And it's not we suggest by any means. It's you want the gear, you have to play ball. So let's talk examples. Zero Dark 30, the CIA helped shape that script. Argo, they were all over that. Even Meet the Parents, that comedy with Ben Stiller? Yeah, the CIA made edits because Robert De Niro's character was ex-CIA and they didn't like how that was coming across. They cared that much. That's how deep it runs. It's not always about the truth. It's about image control. And here's why that's dangerous. Movies shape memories. They're not just stories, they're public record for people who never read the real one. So if the CIA gets the final say on how it's portrayed, you better believe it's cutting out the coups, the torture, the Black Panthers they spied on, the foreign elections they rigged. They'll sell you Jason Bourne before they ever admit to Fred Hampton. So the next time you're watching a blockbuster that feels a little too clean, too polished, too America always wins, ask yourself, who signed off on this? Who funded it? Who edited it? Because once the CIA is helping shape the script, you're not watching fiction. You're watching propaganda.
It's happening, it's happening, it's happening, it's happening, it's happening. Shout out to China. Shout out to China for having the balls to call North Africa up. The fake so-called Africans in North Africa, the ones that faked our history and put themselves in that history and removed everything Bantu in North Africa. Thank you, China. Thank you. I'm not going to go ahead and read this, but what's happening is that Egypt has questioned North American scholars about the artifacts that they have in Egypt. Because, Arabs and Europeans, both those two racist groups of people, when it came to us, Bantu Africans, they did everything they can to remove us from Egypt. Why? Because Egypt became such an advanced society that it was even more advanced than the Greek. It was more advanced than all of them. Just like they did with the Afrikaner's dog, they minimized everything that could be African to a point where they completely removed us in Africa. China's yet to call them out. You know what's amazing? That's how I know that it's intentional between Arab nation and racist white nation. Okay, I know it's intentional because Arabs came with Islam, and white people came with Christianity. We were the ones who were called non-believers. Do you know why we were called non-believers and devil worshippers? Is because we paid attention to the animals, to the water, to people that are dead, to the afterlife. All those things that are opposite to religion, right? That's what they called us. Okay, a non-believer. That's what a kafir is. Okay, they call us kafirs, non-believers. Very negative word. Okay. So if they were these spiritual people, why do they have this? Why would ancient Egypt value animalistic and animism if they were Muslim? Do you guys know that there's no proof of Islam in ancient Egypt? They don't have that conversation. All they know how to do, those racist Arabs, is get on here when we are discussing our African Bantu history in ancient Egypt, is to make stupid laughing faces.
Yeah, the modern Egyptians, they don't say shit when Europeans portray ancient Egyptians. They're all cool with it. They'll laugh, they'll watch along and whatnot. But as soon as we say they were black or portray them as black, that's when they come out the woodworks.
But the only fool here is them. And I'm telling you, with China on it, baby, we are gonna stay on it as Africans either. Why would a country that is Islam do stuff like this? That's 100% African. Yeah. For a very long time, these motherfuckers have been lying. They have done everything and anything to mess up our history. Listen. People these Arabs live in North Africa now. Nobody is saying that we're going to kick them out. But what we are going to say is that they will never be comfortable in the lie that they've created. We are going to make sure that we are rewriting our history and let them know that not only do they not belong in North Africa, because they don't. They don't belong in North Africa because they don't give a damn about the rest of us. When have you ever seen a North African Arab care about Bantu history? Do you think that in North Africa they talk about Zulu history? Do you think in Egypt today they care to talk about Namibia and Tanzania and the Kwe? Do you know why they don't care? Because it's not their people. And I want you to know that they don't hide it. They let us know that they're not African. They're only conveniently African when we are watching soccer and an African team is playing Africa. Any other time they're not African. Okay? It's time for Bantu Nation to claim their history from whitewashed history and from the Arabized history. These people have destroyed us and there is no sign of them trying to come and do what they did. But China's on it. I just have to read this one right here. But Huang said they looked obviously fake at first glance. Yes, because we've been telling you guys that they have been recreating statues and every kind of thing and putting the eyeliners out here so that it can be specifically and particularly Arab.
Like we are stupid. Like we don't know what's up, right? Any ordinary person with common sense can tell that these sandals are brand new. That's an artifact that they claim that they uncovered, under some dirt and rubble. And they said, oh, look at these Arab ancient shoes. And this Chinese people are like, any ordinary person with common sense can tell that these sandals are brand new. He added, reasoning that over time such an object would show signs of aging, such as dulled color and grime. The reason they've been ballsy, those racist Arabs, in hiding our history, they've been ballsy because Africans have not been participating in the global history conversation because we've been shut out, right? Arabs and America have been communicating for a very long time. That's why they allowed Jesus to be considered white in America. Because when the Arabs said, hey, if you are calling me Arab, then Jesus is Arab too, because I come from where Jesus comes from. Do you know that America was like, okay, fine. Okay, you guys are in America, I guess you're white. You see how the color and the shift of Jesus went between the Arabs and white America? You see how that went? Yeah. Huang is a prominent voice in an outspoken and growing group of Chinese opinion leaders who openly question the veracity of Western history. I need to get a hold of this guy. That's my guy. This right here is my guy, and we are coming for both of them. The lies of Arabization and the racism and whitewashing of our African history, because these two groups have been comfortable they're so comfortable to think that in 2025 an Arab can face a Chinese person with fake sandals saying that they're 2,000 from 3,000 years ago. And who wants to look, who's looking at the sandals that looks brand new and then somebody says, oh, they're from 3,000 years ago. They've been getting away with it for too long and it's coming to an end. China, you like a dengue, we love ya.
Like if you look at Africa today, I mean, you look at all of this, right? You look at Guinea and whatever you see here, you go to Senegal, you go to Cote d'Ivoire, you're going to see the same. So this is kind of like America back in the mid 1800s, early 1900s. So back then the problem with the Europeans was like they're looking at America as the Wild West, whereas like investment is really risky. The early investors like the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, all of that, the ones that took the risk early on, today they're the one who control the financial industry in the state, which means they control the financial industry globally, right? And so Africa is at that point today. You have a lot of investors actually interested in Africa, but there's still that what if, right?
But who's the people that actually are taking the risk right now?
Oh, right now, Chinese number one. The Chinese, see, those buildings are owned by Turkish.
Both buildings?
Yeah, both of them. So the Chinese, the Turkish, a little bit of Americans, Europeans less. Because now the Americans
and the Lebanese
are more like, from a geopolitics, it's like the Americans are kicking out the Europeans. When we talk about Europeans, like the French in a way. You have some Americans that are coming to invest a little bit. But number one is the Chinese. And then also you got the Russians. Somebody like us who's like a Guinean, at the same time an American. They trying to leverage people like us to convince more Americans to come. Because they losing the game to the Chinese and to the Russians. Like most of the roads here are done by the Chinese. Like, you know, we talk about Simandu, right? The biggest project in Guinea today. 51% ownership, it's owned by Sinfer, which is a Chinese company. They need everything from Africa. Africa holds 50% of arable land, 60% of the water reserve. Because, you know, a lot of countries are running out of water. But Africa, you have lakes everywhere. If we don't fix the balance, the global economy is going to collapse.
Yeah, everybody's in Africa making money except for us. So, black people, you know, it's time to reclaim our shit.
I just keep on taking things from Africa, so they have to give back. Like the best people that are supposed to capitalize on that opportunity is black people. You go to Brazil, you see black people at the bottom. You go to the state, like, but we can change that. We can be on top. Instead of like going like 100 years for us to be on top, we don't have to go through the same process and the systems that the white man, the Asian, they go through that. We can fast track to get to where, because now you have technology, you have everything, right? We got the knowledge. You look at some of the biggest institutions today, they're run by black people. So like, why not us black people, successful like African Americans, come back to the motherland, take advantage of what already the white man is trying to take advantage. They don't want the successful black man, like, you know, African Americans to see that.
That's why they got Tariq Nasheed pushing this whole movement so that you can separate the black people in America with black people around the world, particularly black people in Africa. They don't want you to come home. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for rocking with me this far. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next videos. Until next time, peace.